Get in the game with NFL Sunday Ticket from Rev TV. You'll get every game every Sunday afternoon from around the league. Plus, NFL Sunday Ticket gives you up to 8 live games on one screen with Game Mix. You'll get that died and woke up in football heaven experience when you upgrade to NFL Sunday Ticket Deluxe, including Red Zone, the channel dedicated to every scoring play from every game. And if you add Rev TV HD to NFL Sunday Ticket Deluxe, you'll be entered to win big weekly prizes with NFL Wildcard Mania. Get in the game with NFL Sunday Ticket.
The murder count hits 100. Find out where the victim was pronounced dead. Standard & Poor's warning to the government. New regulations coming for the detention center. Plus, what led to this bloody scene on Prince Charles Drive. We've got those stories and a whole lot more tonight. I'm Voni Toot and MV12 starts now. Topping news tonight, the country's murder count has hit the 100 mark for the 4th straight year. This grim milestone was once again met after a man was shot multiple times on Soldier Road this morning as he drove with his girlfriend. The latest victim is the brother of a man murdered outside his home just last month. Kyle Joaquin has the details.
Homicide detectives found themselves investigating murder number 100 right on their doorstep this morning. This after a woman came to CDU with the man's bullet-riddled body in the passenger seat. Officers of the Central Detective Unit only had to step outside their office on Thompson Boulevard this morning to reach the scene of the country's 100th murder for the year. They found Chavez Ray dead in his silver Nissan Tiana with multiple gunshot wounds. Head of the Central Detective Unit, Chief Superintendent Paul Rhodes, said police received reports of a shooting incident shortly after 7 a.m., but when officers responded to the area just off East Street, they found nothing. But it wasn't long before the victim of that shooting showed up, not at the hospital, but at CDU headquarters.
A female drove here to Central Detective Unit with a male in the silver Nissan Tiana suffering from gunshot injuries. And our information is that as they were driving along Soldier Road, 2 males emerged from some bushes on the side of the street in the area of just opposite a church near to Blue Hill Road, and wearing black masks over their face. This man began discharging shots into a vehicle, striking the male passenger to the upper body.
Ray was pronounced dead at CDU headquarters. His grieving family now has the heartbreaking task of burying both Chavez and his 20-year-old brother, Shaquan, who was gunned down as he washed his car in front of his Merton Avenue home just 2 weeks ago. Both young men are the sons of Stephen Ray, who went missing at sea in late 2009 but was never found. We reached out to the victim's family, however, they were unwilling to comment. His mother, Stephanie, could be seen here leaving CDU this morning. But there is more to this story. The woman who drove Ray to the Central Detective Unit this morning has been arrested.
She's in custody.
You say in custody? Why is she in custody?
I had to take her into custody a short while ago. We found a firearm in this vehicle.
Was a firearm on the person of the lady?
No, she was on the inside. Once we checked, the firearm was found in her bag.
And of course, making the connections as to why she was taken in custody, that is an offense to have a firearm?
Yeah, it's a handgun. We need to speak to her concerning that.
This latest killing brings the murder count for 2014 to 100. It's the 4th time in the nation's history that the murder count has hit triple digits. The first time was in 2011, where the murder record was broken and still stands at 127. In 2012, it dropped to 111 and increased last year to 120. Police say they are following strong leads in this case.
We believe the assailant knew exactly who they were targeting. We are following some significant leads in regards to this matter, and believe that we should be able to advance this investigation.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
In other news, leaders of the Free National Movement and Democratic National Alliance put the Christie administration on blast today after ratings agency Standard & Poor's warned that future credit rating downgrades could be expected if the implementation of value-added tax does not yield projected results. Simone Davis has that story.
While Standard & Poor's has maintained the country's credit ratings in its latest research update, the ratings agency warned that if the January 2015 implementation of value-added tax fails to produce the projected results, the Bahamas could be looking at future downgrades. S&P also featured the government's multi-million-dollar bailout of Bank of the Bahamas as one of the reasons it has maintained its negative outlook on the country's economy, and said it's another thing that could lead to a downgrade. S&P noted, quote, should the Bahamas continue to have massive deficits, broader banking issues, and fail to experience growth in the tourism sector, it could see ratings fall below investment level. Minister of State for Finance Michael Halkitis told NB12, quote, the government is pleased that the country avoided a downgrade, and we recognize the challenges ahead, and we continue our program of fiscal reform, end quote. However, F&M Chairman Darren Cash doesn't see it that way.
I did take note of the response from the Ministry of Finance to the S&P announcement and detected a sense of smugness in the fact that they were able to avoid a downgrade. Well, the fact that they avoided a downgrade is nothing to be proud of, because we shouldn't be in this position in the first place. The reality is that the country is in this position because of the gross mismanagement on the part of Prime Minister Christie and his team.
In its research update, S&P also mentioned the length of the bailout, highlighting that the rest of the country's banking sector appears stable. Cash added that the research by S&P only shows that changes are needed in the Ministry of Finance.
The fact of the matter is, the decision by S&P to maintain the long-term debt outlook as negative reflects the fact that no one is buying the story that the Prime Minister is putting out. All of his claim about what the future looks like is not gaining any traction in the international community. Secondly, the reality of what S&P says points to the fact that there needs to be meaningful change within the Ministry of Finance.
DNA leader Branville McCartney also shared his views, stating that he does not agree with the government's plan to implement the new tax regime, and he thinks the government is downgrading the country and it should stop VAT before it starts.
Fuel prices have gone down around the world. It's the lowest it's ever been from 2008. And our electricity prices continue to soar. Notwithstanding, this particular government said that they would lower our electricity prices. And you want me to trust them with VAT? And what they could do? The only thing they're going to do with this VAT is have more money to waste.
He said he agrees that the BOB bailout would lead to future downgrades, which is another reason why he is not confident in the government's expectations to collect $300 million in the first year of VAT.
I have no confidence in the government regarding the implementation of a new tax regime in this country. None. They can't even get their disclosures right. This government we got persons in the government who've not disclosed. We got persons in the government like Renwood Wells and our Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister who won't tell us about the signing of a $650 million letter of intent. You want me to trust them? You want me to trust them? You got cronyism galore. You got corruption. You got corruption in this country that is perhaps at its highest level. Highest level. You want me to trust them with VAT? I got a problem with that.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Simone Davis.
Foreign Affairs and Immigration Minister Fred Mitchell has admonished 58 new immigration officers to remain resolute in the face of criticism of the government's new immigration policy. Mitchell urged officers to ignore what he called idle propaganda.
You join at an exciting time when all eyes are on you and how you will deport yourselves. There's a lot of idle propaganda going around which is designed to defame the work that has been done by your colleagues in immigration to be. But let that not deter you from the central job and focus, which is to enforce the law without fear or favor and to help keep the peace and good order in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Mitchell also defended government's new policy and insisted there was nothing inhumane about Saturday's immigration raids.
We have a dynamic economy. We are a welcoming people. But those who come should come through the front door. You must come legally and you must be documented. Those who do not do that should return home or be returned home.
Deputy Prime Minister Philip Davis yesterday foreshadowed new regulations intended to bring transparency to the Carmichael Road Detention Center. During the passing out ceremony for immigration officers, Davis also said there will be tougher penalties for human smuggling and for employing people without work permits.
While all of these initiatives will strengthen our security, new regulations are proposed to bring transparency to the detention center and to make it more accessible. When Parliament resumes on the 19th of November, those initiatives will be tabled before members and senators for their approval. With that said and done, you can see that you have much work, therefore, to do in immigration.
Last year, the government ordered an inquiry into the administration and management of the detention center after it came under intense scrutiny over allegations of abuse of Cuban detainees. The committee submitted a report to the government, but the findings have not been revealed. Davis also revealed that between January 1st and November 1st of this year, 3,419 foreigners were repatriated. He says the majority of them were Haitian nationals.
This year to date, we have interdicted 1,660 Haitian nationals at sea. These figures are meaningless without counting the true cost to all of us. This year alone, to September 12th, we have spent more than $1.2 million on repatriations. Remember that the entire budget for this year is only $1.5 million. So you see how we are challenged.
When NB12 returns, the F&M leader defends his leadership style. The details are after this break.